This is tape one, actually tape two, the first tape I made on who you decide who you're going to listen to. This is the tape one of what is going to be a series of tapes on what we call the 8-step pattern. I'll give a little background on the 8-step pattern. It's been used for 40 years in the relationship marketing industry. It's been used by probably dozens of different programs and plans, hundreds of thousands of people. People who have followed this pattern that we're going to spend the next few tapes sharing with you have had immense success. I mean, immense. It's created hundreds of millionaires. Now, the pattern doesn't create anything. You have to apply the pattern. So the people who have chosen to use this pattern and apply it and learn it and teach it and teach the teachers to teach it, have built enormous organizations, some into the millions of people. In fact, I can name two or three, I won't name the names, who have built organizations in excess of several million people strictly following this pattern. So it's more than well proven. If you follow the pattern in this business of relationship marketing, you will have success. And so we're going to start teaching that pattern. The pattern is pretty simple. It has different names: 8-step pattern, the pattern for success. There are 5, 8, 10, 12 steps. It's called the 8-step pattern, but they're all pretty much the same. Number one on all of them, no matter who's used them or modified them, number one is always the dream, the goal, the why. There's nowhere to go until you know where you want to go. You got to define what success is for you. You got to find what it is you're going to put out the extra time, energy, and effort to do this for. So step one is the why. Step two is make some commitments. We probably won't get. We'll probably spend this whole 15 minutes, which is all YouTube allows me to use. I went a little over on the last one. I had a whole hard time getting it published. So let's talk about that. Your why. There's nowhere to decide how much effort and time, money, what priority, what focus, what level of involvement, how much are you going to do, with what intensity level, are you, until you determine your why. I've always believed that. I hate the term business, for example. Doing a business is pits. Who wants to do a business? The first thing we have to realize is everybody's busy. Nobody's got time. Nobody's looking for something else to do, and neither are you. And if you focus on what you have to do here, if you focus on the methodology, if you focus on information and learning information, you're not going to get very far. You're not going to get very excited. You're not going to be able to get other people excited. The only reason we do this is because what we're doing, well, I can't talk about everybody, but for most people, for me particularly, for what we're doing, we come to the conclusion, finally, after 5, 10, 20, 40 years, we come to the conclusion that if we keep doing what we've been doing, we're going to keep getting what we've been getting, and we don't like what we've been getting, and we want something different and something more in life, so we're willing to do, I hate the word, but we're willing to do something different in order to have something different, and we're going to have to be willing to do things that other people won't do so that we can have things that other people can't have. The lifestyle that's available here in this first talk is, I can't talk as big as it really is because you won't believe it. You'll just think it's hogwash or pipe dream or whatever. So let's start small. I recommend that you start a dream book or a dream wall or a dream folder or whatever, and start with $100. Okay, if you had $100 this month that you could blow, not to pay bills. Don't put pay bills on there. Don't pay unless that's very important to you to get out of debt and pay something off. Then put that down. But I'd rather see you put something that's tangible that you can go touch, feel, and smell. Your first $100. When you make your first $100, put a page, put a board, a dream board up. What would you spend $100 on? I don't know what it is. Go out to dinner. Buy yourself something. Give it to somebody for charity. Whatever. What are you going to do with the first 100? Put pictures up there. Put pictures on your refrigerator, on your shaving mirror if you're a guy, or if you're a gal that needs to shave. Put, then $200. What are you going to do when you make $200? And go on up. $500. What are you going to do with your first $500? What are you going to do with your first $750? What are you going to do with your first $1,000? When you start making $1,000 a month, what are you going to do with that? and go right on up as big as you dare allow yourself to dream. 2,000 a month, 3,000, 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 50,000 a month. What if you were making 50,000 a month? There were many months that I made that much and more. You know, and what would you do with that? You know, you can. I suggest starting with material things. There's humanitarian things. There's gift to the family. There's savings. There's reserve. There's retirement. That's like moving numbers around. That's not exciting. Find something tangible. I mean, your car. That's kind of, you know, what would you change your car if you had an extra $500 a month? How much a month would you need coming in? Excuse me. You know, drive the kind of car you'd like to drive. A lot of the programs, the one I'm in now, they give you a car allowance once you reach a certain level. And mine's a $500 a month. That are not that big a level. And they give you $500 a car of your choice. You know, I mean, think about that. What would you drive? What kind of car would you like to be driving? And one that starts, one that has, you know, good tires on it, that isn't pouring oil everywhere. I don't know. What kind of car? You know, how about clothes? Some people are into clothes. You know, where would you shop for clothes if money was no option? You know, what kind of clothing would you, or what kind of jewelry, what kind of shoes? I was into cowboy boots for a while. I think I had 20-something pair of cowboy boots at one time. I bought $7,000 worth at a place in Texas. They were having a clearance. We were driving through El Paso and our motor on that big sign up. They had this convention. They had all these boots. I said, man, if they got any size 15, I have a big foot, along with a big mouth. And I went in there, man, and there was this sign, 14 and 15s, and there was hundreds and hundreds of boots. I went nuts. I think I walked out there with as many as we could get in the vehicle. I think it was a lot of money. And then I went to a place called Friedman's up in Atlanta that has every shoe they have, thousands of them in size, any size you want. And I think I walked out there with, like, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 worth of shoes. So it just went nuts. So I don't know if you're into clothes, jewelry. I don't know what you're into. Eating. Maybe it would be nice, you know, I used to have people, well, what's your favorite food? A lot of people would say lobster. And I said, what's the last time you ate it? A lot of people can't remember the last time. I said, if it's your favorite food, why haven't you eaten it lately? I mean, would you like to go out to a restaurant and read the menu from the left to right instead of the right to left, instead of looking over at the numbers first to decide, you know, what you really want? Wouldn't it be nice to just read and you know, the writing and the description of the food and be able to order what you wanted to order? You know, maybe a vacation. Maybe your first vacation. Where would you like to go on vacation? Have you been on a cruise? My wife and I have been on 19 of them. You know, would you like to go on a cruise? Would you like to go stay in a cabin in the mountains? Would you like to go to the beaches somewhere, to the islands? Would you like to go to Hawaii? We've had the pleasure of being in Hawaii. I don't even know the number of times. Can't even count the number of times we've been to Hawaii. Different islands and different resorts. Would you like to go to Alaska? Would you just like to travel? Would you like to get in your car? I know it was my dream for a long time, just to get in the car and drive across country. I remember the first time I drove to the Grand Canyon and walked up to the rim, tears just rolling down my cheek, because it was so much more than I'd seen in the videos and in the pictures. It was just, you know, an experience to be able, a dream is fulfilled. I'm standing on the rim of the Grand Canyon. How many places in this country have you seen movies or pictures or photographs or videos that you would like to experience it for real? I mean, there's the whole world out there of things. If you got time and money, that's the things you need to give you choices. Simply, you need time and you need money. And you need a way to make money, and this business is called residual income, which means you don't have to keep swapping hours for dollars. You can actually, you know, live where you want to live, and that's the next thing. It's important. Where do you want to live? What part of the country would you live in if you could live anywhere you wanted to live? I mean, you know, we can just go on and on. You dare to dream. Dare to allow yourself to go back to your childhood and recall some of those things you thought you wanted out of life and were going to have before you begin to settle for it. Before you begin to say, oh, who would want it anyway? Before you begin to say, one of these days, someday, you know, sooner or later, all those things that we say, and then you begin to, you know, you're living your life based on a budget and an income that's fixed by somebody else, and you begin to adjust everything in your life down to, you know, the difference between the 5% and the 95% boils down to a couple of basic, simple things. The 5%ers have dreams and goals, and they spend their energy and time trying to figure out how they can make enough money to get the things they want out of life. And they'll do as many endeavors as long as it takes, whatever it takes, because the things they want are important to them, and they want this kind of lifestyle, they want these things, and they will work and do whatever they need to do to go get those things. The 95%ers, it's just the opposite. They end up with some kind of job or whatever that pays X amount of dollars, and then they have to create a budget. Here's what I'm going to spend this much for groceries, this much for a car, this much for vacation, this much for food, if there's anything left over for me. And they go through a process of adjusting their lifestyle and the things they want down to what they can afford, and then trying to convince themselves that it's okay. I don't mind. I didn't really need that anyway. I mean, I can get this little cheap car and make it look like an expensive car. I can put all these modifications on it and all these extra things, and I can pretend it's really the car I want to be driving. Well, who needs a big house anyway? You got to clean it and heat it, and of course you got money. You don't care about heating and cleaning. When I drove motor coaches, I'd stop to gas it up, 100 gallons worth of gas. People would, how many miles a gallon does that thing get? I'd say, I have no freaking idea. If you have to ask that, then you're never going to have one. Okay, you don't. When you can afford a $500,000, $250,000, $500,000 motor coach, the gas is not an issue. The fuel, which is usually diesel, is not an issue. You just when it runs out, when that little gauge gets down there and gives you go put gas in it. I mean, you need to dare to dream again. Dare to think about what it was you thought life was going to be like. What were you going to have? What were you going to get to do? Where were you going to get to travel? Where were you going to get to shop? All those things, they're there. They're still buried. You need to take the filters off. You need to take the covers off and let them out and say, why? You've got a hold of something that can make you as much money as you need to make. Now, I don't hate that word. As much money as you want to make to get the things you want out of life, not the things you can afford. Just imagine taking that word afford out of your vocabulary, vocabulary. Yeah, that's a nice word. Out of your vocabulary. Take that word, take budget. Oh, God, budget out of your vocabulary. Be able to spend, man, it was so good to walk around with $5,000 or $10,000 in your pocket that you could spend with discretionary, was blow money. I used to take several $1,000s a month that I could just blow on anything I wanted. What would you do if you had a couple $1,000s in your pocket that you could just spend on anything you wanted? I mean, think about that. What would that be like? You've got the possibility to do that here. So put the pictures on your refrigerator, put the pictures on your mirror, get you a dream book, get you a dream board, and start putting things up there. I never put a picture on my refrigerator of anything that I never got. It's guaranteed. You stare at it every day, you look at it, and eventually, when we got our first home in Tucson, we furnished it all up, and I went back going through a dream book that I had, and the furniture that we ended up in our house was in my dream book, and I hadn't even thought about it. Ended up getting the exact furniture that I had in my dream book in our house and I hadn't even remembered that I had put it in the dream book. It works. It works if you'll put your things in front of you, if you'll put your goals, your dreams, and go out and touch and feel and smell and drive cars and look at homes and try on clothes and go in nice resorts and go in beautiful hotels. See what it's like. See how the other people live there, because you're going to be one of those other people. If you care enough, if you dream enough, you need a burning desire. You need to have something that's just a burning desire. You just need it. You got to have it to force you to do the uncomfortable things this is going to require you to do. Because it's going to require you to do some uncomfortable things. And there are going to be ups and downs. And there are going to be periods where you're going to have doubt. There are going to be periods where you wonder if it's worth it. And I don't know what it is. It isn't worth it. But whatever you got on that dream board may be worth it. And you got to put something on there that's worth doing, whatever it takes, as much as it takes, for as long as it takes. And if you have that attitude, there's no failure. You cannot fail. It's just a matter of knowing what you want and be willing to pay the price to get it. You got to have a dream you're willing to fight for. Guys, it is a fight. It is a struggle. It's a battle. You got to have a dream that inspires you enough to do and learn and overcome the things that are difficult, that are a challenge for you. And that's the real reward in life. You'll find out it's not the things. It's the growth. It's the overcoming. It's the becoming. It's being the best you can be. It's doing things that other people won't do. Dream. Dare to dream, and dare to dream big. dreams will come true here if you're willing to put forth the effort. Dream.